All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here for the decider between TNC Predator and Cignal Ultra. My goodness, John. Some static in the background. It is MLP Dota and John Expired. John, how are you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling good. It is getting a bit late, but this is the last match to decide who gets to go to the major. TNC, Cignal Ultra, two Filipino teams facing off. One game left.
Hmm.
Major champions, team that never went to majors, face to face, dead even, 1-1. It's gonna be a very tight match here. Both teams really hungry to get back in there. And no matter who wins, I think you're going to have a lot of people who are happy and a lot of people who'd be upset. So it's a no-win situation overall. Like, you will have a bunch of people really mad that TNC wins. You will have a bunch of people really mad that Cignal wins. But either way, one of these guys will have to go to the major, and I'm actually really keen to see how far both teams can push each other. It's been a tight set of matches so far. We'll see whether or not either side can really make this one a convincing one, or if we're going to be facing one of the closest matches we've seen in close qualifiers to date.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can already see TNC Predator. They go straight back into that Doom. So, happy with KP's performance in that Doom. He was doing a pretty darn good job. Very disruptive in those team fights. And, well, just go ahead and pick it up again. If it's not broken, you don't fix it. Of course, they did also ban out the gyro again, so just respect banning the gyrocopter, not wanting to have to deal with it with Cignal Ultra. And I wonder what Ultra will do about it. Well, they'll go into the void. Fair enough. I do like this a lot more than the gyrocopter.
Oh yeah. I like this combination coming out from Cignal. This is what we sort of expected. The Void and Titan do come out into play, and that is super potent. Like, you are picking it into the Doom. We have seen that happen before. As long as you toss a hero that will cause the Doom to second guess whether or not to go for that spell use, you're still going to get what you want here as Cignal. So I like the pick so far. It is a good shakeup. TNC, they go back to that Mirana, and we have seen Tims do a lot of work on that. We'll see how else they tie up this draft.
Certainly. The Void Elder Titan, beautiful combination. TNC Predator going back to the Doom Mirana. Tim's so consistent on this Mirana. Been doing a fantastic job overall. They just can't pick another hero for the man. He has to just keep spamming Mirana over and over again because it's so darn good. Well, one more ban for either side before we see where these drafts are going to be headed. We do see the Naga Siren and the Lina being banned out from either side. Interesting that TNC's been banning the Lina, considering Armel has been playing it so much. But they may just opt to give him the DK again if it's not banned here by Cignal Ultra.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised. That hero has really just done a lot of work. There's so many teams. TNC, they made it go really well when they run it. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they would go back to that. It's just a very stable core to have. It's not going to outright lose a lane ever. It's very hard to bully out. And you're just going to find that farm as you progress. You're going to find a utility. You can melt the tier 1s very fast, farm up, and just get bigger. You have some great scaling into the late game as well. The Ags upgrade gives you a lot more. So there is a lot of value in that pick. Cignal doesn't ban it out as well. Perhaps Cignal goes for it. Like, there is that possibility. But I wouldn't be too surprised if TNC went for it after this.
Does seem like it'd be decent for Cignal. I mean, they've got the Void. The DK could just stay out of the Chrono. They still have the option for the Venge as well if they want to go that. But I like this. The Skywrath Mage comes out, and it's something we don't see very often. But it does pop out in conjunction with the Void and the Elder Titan. It is quite potent. And now if TNC do want to go for the DK, there is a direct counter in that Skywrath.
Yeah, it's going to be a very painful time. Play that DK, you're just going to melt right through. TNC do pick up the Beastmaster, so now you've got two tools to stop the Faceless Void from having a very seamless Chronosphere. I like that pick from TNC. It's really focusing on that Void, but he is key to most teams. When you pick that Void, he's going to be the center of attention. You're going to be playing around that Chrono every single time.
But this does mean that the Doom's playing support then, right? So it's a March Doom and it's a KP special on the Beastmaster. Cignal
Yeah, but that's
Ultra.
kind of that's counteracted by the Abaddon.
Very nice pick by Cignal Ultra.
uh it's like one decision counteracted by another. So you have the support Doom, and that can be quite rough, but you do have Cignal. They've got the Abaddon. That one has had a bit of a rough time as well. You can protect your Faceless Void a bit better. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not, with the strong supports that Cignal does have, whether or not this Abaddon is going to have a better time, because quite frankly, overall, it has not had a good time.
No, it definitely hasn't. Of course, TNC Predator goes straight into the TA, so there's our Mills hero popping out.
10 seconds remaining.
We haven't seen much of the TA. It hasn't been very effective in the games that we have seen it pop out. Cignal Ultra are yet to also choose their mid lane, so they can definitely go for the Ember Spirit counter if they do wish. Of course, there is still one ban for TNC, so they could always get rid of it, but I imagine they already expect the Ember Spirit to come out for Cignal. Unless they were planning to run a Skywrath Mage core. I don't think that'll be the case, though.
It would be a bit rough. I don't think that would work out too well. I feel like the hero is still going to be really good in this lineup. Of course, natural combination with the Void. You're just going to be able to do that, dish that damage out you need early on very quickly. So there's a lot of value in that. I like the ban out from TNC. That Ember Spirit would have caused a lot of issues for their TA. This is just giving Armel that much of a better time down mid. We'll see how else they close out this draft. It does feel like they will need a safe laner, of course. We are looking at Gabby's here that still has to pop out.
10 seconds.
I mean, they could go for the safe choice in that lifesteal we've been seeing, but it doesn't work well up against the Void. They'll go for the Chaos Knight.
Okay. I like that. They don't have any real way of clearing out those illusions this time around from Cignal. You can really melt the backline in this case. Sky is just going to be very vulnerable to Chaos Knight. You have enough team fight and control from the rest of your team that you're not going to be too worried. You do require a bit of farm early on, but you can definitely buy space for that TA as long as you play aggressively. The key thing is you have to play aggressively with your Doom and Beastmaster. Find those early pickoffs, keep them busy, away from your TA while she's still farming up. You will still need maybe an early Midas or early Armlet, depending. Once you have that, you should be pretty active on the map. I like that pick. Cignal, they've got to pick a mid laner now that can deal with that Chaos Knight. I guess the OD is still in the pool. That is something that they could fall back to. And it would certainly play out quite nicely up against TA, up against the CK. Pretty much everyone is just going to melt to a hero like that. So a lot of value if they go for that OD. They go with a Timber instead. Fair enough, right? Like it eats strength heroes quite well. So it's going to cause havoc up against that Chaos Knight early on at the very least. It's going to be interesting to see that laning though.
I mean, in the end, with the reactive armor, Armel shouldn't be able to do too much, right? Like, even with the Meld Deso, although it's great, the Timber is always going to have the reactive armor to kind of combat that. We've been seeing the Timber banned out so much over the past couple days. This is the first time we've had the pleasure of seeing it pop out in a game, and it's the last game of the whole closed qualifier for SEA. I don't know. It should be interesting. It definitely does do well against the Chaos Knight. Mind you, you are picking this into a Doom. So that could be somewhat problematic. Of course, like you mentioned, in the laning stage, Armel should really have no problems.
Yeah, it's one of those times where we see that Timbersaw mid again. I think we've seen it a couple of times before. I'm not completely fond of it. It does work out nicely, I think, with the spacing changes as well to mid lane. I'm not sure how much flexibility you have as a Timbersaw nowadays to really zip in and out as the game goes on in that lane, at least in the laning phase, of course. We'll see. The one key thing, at the very least, for the Timbersaw is it comes online fast, doesn't require farm, compared to the TA who will kind of just rice farm come around 10 to 20 minutes. They're just going to be stuck in that jungle for a bit until the Dezo and blinks up, at the very least. So you should expect a bit more activity from Cignal. and you should expect TNC to take it easy from Armel.
Battle.
It will be down to Gabby and KP to pick up the pace there, to buy them time. So one of the key things for TNC is giving Gabby that good start. We have seen CKs fall behind before, and they do not flash farm well. So once you go behind, you're just really behind for pretty much the rest of the game.
Certainly are. We had an experience with that the other day where it just seemed like they could never get this CK online. We'll also have to keep an eye out on the build of Gabby. Whether he does go for the armlet into the heart rush, which we saw the other day, and it just didn't work out. Of course, a lot of pressure on KP. It's not going to be an easy game for him. Plenty of raw targets he needs to go for, but you do have to watch out for that Abaddon Aphotic Shield and just purge that stun off.
From miles away.
So he does play this hero quite a lot. A lot of pressure between both these teams to try and pull off this win. Cignal Ultra, though, definitely feeling much more pressure. I mean, this is their first DPC event they're fighting for. It's the closest they've ever gotten, I believe.
The battle begins.
Well, they'll get started. Looks like top lane. They are actually going on to Nando right now. And Nando will be able to time walk all that damage off. Grims will be there anyway, just in case. Of course, we saw last game, or the game before, I believe, Grims was on the Elder Titan. And he was quite scary. You've got to be very careful with that Astral Spirit. He did manage to get first blood on Tim's just by right-clicking. So we'll see if Tim's tries to avoid it this time or falls for the same trap.
You really don't want to be copying those right clicks from a hero like this. And Grims is trying to set himself up there, but it looks like Tim's knows better now. He's staying a bit further back, so not going to have that silly slap fest we had earlier on.
Was mid lane Jamesy up against Armel. Should really just favor Armel for quite a while, as he could just spam Refraction. And Jamesy won't be able to do much about it. In those reactive armor charges at level 1 really isn't much at all. You can already see Armel really applying the pressure to this Timbersaw. In fact, he's almost got him down. Jamesy has to be very careful. He does commit a lot of whirling deaths towards Armel as well, so he does lose quite a bit of HP. Of course, bot lane, Gabby on the CK. Will be there with March on the Doom, and they have Van and, of course, Eris there on the Skyrath. Van playing that core Abaddon role, it seems. Shouldn't have too much of a hard time in this lane, farming up as the Abaddon. There's not really much that can shut him down, especially while he's got his Skyrath there. So speaking of the Skyrath, he has to be careful as that chain lightning that March has taken from the neutral creep does a hell of a lot of damage. But while we're talking about that, Jamesy does end up losing his life to Armel in the mid lane.
That is to be expected, right? This is something we've been talking about since the draft. Timbersaw is just not going to have a very good time up against that TA down mid. And Armel certainly does abuse that spell kit to really just force Jamesy to go back to base.
Cheap spell as well, 50 gold for 140 damage, and it bounces on the Doom. This top lane, Grims falling very low on the Elder Titan now. KP going up with Tibbs, and they do find the kill. Very nice play. The Void will be forced to time walk some damage off. Nando not having the greatest time in the world. It's just very hard up against the Beastmaster. You've got those balls there, but as well as that, Tibbs is always around as well to dish out the damage. Speaking of, look down at that bot lane where March almost goes down to the Doom. Eris, rather than chasing the Doom kill, went for the Courier of March.
That actually hurts March a lot more. He does not have the mana to TP home, and he probably is just going to be stuck in this lane unless he goes for a suicide.
Well, Eris does end up killing himself off. Unfortunately for him, March does get the gold for that. So what can you do? Just needed to deny himself off one way or the other. Armel, I mean, both heroes are trading pretty uncontested in this mid lane. I don't know which one's more of a concern though. Seems like giving the TA way too much farm early on is going to be problematic. Then again, a Timbersaw can be very, very painful. Tims, speaking of painful, finds a very, very important courier pickup. A lot of Nando's items were on there, and he's going to not have them for a couple minutes now.
It does seem to be part of TNC's game plan to really just hunt down those couriers, make it harder for Cignal to ferry out their items to their cores, and that certainly does hurt in the laning phase, especially if you find something big like the safe laner in mid.
Jamesy almost goes down to Armel, though Eris does come in to try and help out. He still tries for Jamesy, but Jamesy with those reactive armor stacks has healed up quite a bit. Armel will use Refraction and will survive another day. Salves up.
I saw that ending from miles.
Armel gives the all chat. Eris will give him a concussive shot back. Jamesy remaining on very, very low HP. Doesn't really seem to mind anyway. Does finally back off out of the mid lane for a bit though.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
3 bounty runes already going to the way of Cignal Ultra. Gabby does manage to find one for the team. TNC not really prioritizing those bounty runes at the moment. Would rather just continue sticking in the lane as they are pretty much winning every single lane. You could make the argument that the mid lane is still an even trade between Armel and Jamesy, but Armel has found himself slightly ahead.
We're reaching that point as well where the TA can just slip into that jungle and farm up a bit more. Armel does have a 1-level lead over Jamesy. And it's that point where Timbersaw can nut for the refractions with Chakram now. But we're not seeing the silly Timbersaw come out just yet.
It does take a bit more time than that for the silly Timbersaw.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Still, he's just prioritizing farm for now. He's got the Soul Ring up. He wants to disrupt Armel in the jungle and does manage to steal a creep away from the TA. We'll just return straight back into the lane. Still, Armel's net worth not really suffering too much. He is almost at 3.2k, well ahead of anybody else. He's just juggling between that jungle and, of course, the lane. Look up at that top lane. Nando on the Void has really been struggling. 2k net worth, nothing to write home about, and KP has been making his life very, very hard.
This is going to be very hard for Cignal to recover from. Oh, and aggro lands in him as well. It's going to be hard to recover from this one. The Void farms okay. It's not the fastest in the world as a flash farmer. You can still make it work, but you really want either a Maelstrom or a Midas to accelerate that farm for you and also enable you to make use of that early chrono. Without any of those coming out, heck, without even a power treads up on Nando, his level 6 is really not going to be as impactful as you'd hope.
Well, top lane, they are going to try and gank KP now. He already took that tier 1 tower. Concussive shot does come out. They should be able to get the Echo Stomp off, though no, they don't really try. And surprisingly enough, they actually leave KP alone.
You know, Mike, I want to point...
Yeah.
I want to point something out as well, just really quick. Check the win probability. It's now, it's just a die. I think it's busted for the die right now for us, for some reason.
Alright, this one I don't know about. 100% for Cignal Ultra. Well, Gabe, we'll see if Gabe is correct this time, John. He was correct last time. But, I'd be impressed if he was. Armel, double damage rune on the TA now. Has a nice little trusty shovel for himself.
I like this item build-up from Gabby as well. He is going for the armlet. So he wants to be active early on. This is exactly what you want to see, especially when you're playing with that TA who will require some farm time. I mean, even the progression towards that blink is going to be pretty fast. He's just about 700 gold away. but you'd still want the Desolator on top of that anyway. And that just means you are going to have to buy some time there.
Gabby's been farming pretty well. Like, they haven't put any pressure on this man. It's unlike the last time we saw a CK where there was a lot of pressure. Gabby just free farming right now. Van hasn't been able to do anything on the Abandon to stop him. And Van's farm has struggled a hell of a lot. 2.7k net worth. Just behind his own Void at 2.8. TNC has complete control over this game so far. Jamesy at least finds a courier off March, I guess. Don't think March will mind too much. Van getting ganked up here, but Nando is there with Jamesy. They have the Chrono available. They want to kill off the CK. Oh,
no.
But that Chrono is not the one they needed, and March won't mind dying for that. Oh my, that's a big mistake. Nando will stick around though. We'll steal some creeps off Gabby, but he's not going to be happy about that one.
Oh, definitely not. You can see he was going for the greedy play, trying to catch both. Just kind of misses out on it. And unfortunately enough, that does mean that the spell isn't as successful as you'd want. They do get that support kill. It's still not ideal. We always talk about that timing around the first Chrono. And you do, you know, just getting a kill is kind of good, but that doesn't feel like it's enough.
Looks like Gabby's starting to get active across the map. Grim's going to be the target. He does go down to Armel, and now Jamesy trying to punish back. They'll get the tier 1 as well. And looks like Jamesy may lose his life here. He's really not as tanky as you would hope. 24 active Rearmor stacks. It will be enough, or maybe not. Armel. No, it can't quite take him out. They will back off. I mean, they've got the tier 1. They got a kill. Now Gabby rotates to the bot lane where they get the Doom off on the Void, and March actually escapes with his life intact. They won't find the Void though.
Oh, the arrow? Ooh.
Tim's trying to sneak one while they weren't watching. Won't find it. Good attempt though. So a 4-1 though. 4k net worth lead for TNC 11 minutes in. Pretty damn good lead. And these towers, they're still melting. I mean, KP's still forcing in this top lane. Van's been forced to try and defend that. The bot lane's now being pushed in by Gabby. This is just buying more space for Armel, who already has the blink up, and who'll have the Desolator up pretty darn soon.
TNC is really hitting all their timing here. Every single thing that should be happening is happening. In fact, it's going really fast. The fact that tier 2 up top isn't very safe. The fact that the Timbersaw can't just go between that tier 2 and tier 3 to find that farm, or you're just not getting the maximum potential from that Timbersaw. What you tend to see is, at this point in time, you're big enough, you maybe have a pipe, or you maybe have a Vanguard or Hood of Defiance, and then you just play between tier 2 tier 3. Annoy the hell out of someone by shoving in a lane that way. It's not happening just yet. They're forced to respond to TNC's movements.
I saw that ending from miles away.
Bot. Nice stomp out onto 2. Do they follow up with it though? No, they definitely do not. Nando does have the Chrono available. He wants to try and go for another hero pickoff. They'll just force down that bot tier 1. I don't believe TNC will even try to defend this, and there's really no need to. They'll just let it go down. Nando will eventually take it for himself. While that's happening though, TNC will find something even better in the Roshan. And with Armel there, with the melt strikes, and with KP with all his creeps, it is a very, very quick process.
Not only that, but Armel had a very fortunate double damage rune, so they do take that Roche uncontested, widening their net worth gap to 6k in favor of TNC, 4-1, 13 minutes in. Van, I don't think you want to be there.
No, certainly not. He does have borrowed time. KP does have Raw if he really wants to commit it, and he will, but there are TPs coming in. Eris trying to help out. Armel is not afraid though, and he will go in and clean him up, and now Eris could be in trouble. Armel, not really much mana to play with. He does have the Aegis, so does have a secondary life if he wants to push the limits. They will not, however. They'll be happy with that. And I can't blame them. There's no need to overextend. They're just finding everything they need. If this game keeps up the way it is, Cignal Ultra could be losing very, very quickly.
It's really down to the fact that Cignal has not been able to maximize their combo. We haven't seen a big chrono with the Earth Splitter, with the Mystic Flare really coming out just yet. Cignal, they need to make it happen. That's what their draft is all about. It's just not happening.
Just farm suffering all over the place for Cignal. Like, Nando's still trying to get that Maelstrom up. You'll have it relatively soon. I suppose you could make something happen, but you could look at Armel. Deso up now. BOT's come up on KP, so he has high mobility. Of course, Gabby has the armlet, and he's going for what looks like an Echo Saber up next. Bot lane, they are going to engage onto Jamesy, who is melting to Armel. They will Aphotic shield him up. Doom will be there on the Abaddon, and now a Chrono. It is pretty darn nice with the Mystic Flare. They'll take down KP on the Beastmaster. They try for March. They've lost Grims, though. And now it looks like they may want to back out for Cignal Ultra, though. Jamesy is taking a lot of damage off that CK. And not really being too phased by it either. So although it kind of looked good for TNC, they do end up losing out 2-1. And you're starting to see Jamesy on that Timber just a little bit too tanky for Gabby to try and take out.
Certainly is. I think that's going to be an issue for the next at least 5 to 10 minutes, specifically on Jamesy. That's really just the moment when Timbersaw is nigh unkillable. Once that Guardian Greaves is up as well, it's just going to be obnoxious, right? So Jamesy should be able to get a little bit more done.
Eris is down. Armel does find the kill, but it may cost him the Aegis. He will refract up. He's surrounded, though, by quite a few heroes, but TNC is coming in to try and help out. There's the Aegis going. Grim's Echo Stomp is not going to be there in time. The Roar from KP will push him away, but Armel still copying too much damage. But no, the Glimmer Cape will save him, though. No, Nando. He does find it in the end. Now Tim's just trying to get the hell out of there. And Armel got a little bit greedy, but March, he will find a trade in the form of Grims. Can they punish further? Cignal still trying to run away. March, who are you aiming for? He's going after Nando, and here comes Gabby on the CK. Still, though, it's a 1-for-1 trade once again, but they do find the Void. And for some reason, they decided to drop a mango tree in the middle of all that. It does get chopped down by KP immediately. The man hates mangoes.
Well, in the end, it is still a slightly more favorable trade for Cignal. Just taking out that TA is still a pretty big win for Cignal, just because TA is worth a lot more. So Cignal gonna be pretty happy about that. That does let our Void finish up that Maelstrom as well. Gonna be doing a bit more damage. Overall, speed up the farm. And Cignal, you know, they're the guys now with the draft that plays around that timer. Void ultimate gonna be up in about 15 seconds. But they need to make something happen that time span. They need to find a big kill, find a big pick-off, and just keep doing that every single time. I think if Cignal can keep that up, this deficit of 6k is not going to matter too much in a few minutes' time.
Well, Mel looking for more already. He just respawned up. He wants some heroes to take out. He won't get lucky enough to find anybody quite yet. Fernando on the low ground has Chrono up. We'll see the Echo Saber now up on Gabby's CK, so a lot more damage output on him. And you can really see the urgency in TNC this game. They just aren't willing to wait. They want to keep forcing fights and making it very hard for Cignal Ultra. Gabby forcing in the creep wave towards that tier 3 tower. Jamesy will be there to defend on the Timbersaw. Cignal just sticking as a team, not splitting up, not giving any kind of leeway to TNC to try and get a pick off. TNC do still hold the net worth lead at 6k. Armel at 10k net worth right now on the TA. Trying to go into that BKB. And you'd imagine once the BKB's up on TNC, they may actually just start forcing the tier 3 towers.
Definitely nothing holding them back from getting that done. So just waiting out in that one big item. Of course, you have to respect Cignal. They still have that team fight up. They do have the Chronosphere up, every single spell up, and they are just clumped up as 5. They understand that they don't have the map control to take these fights to TNC, but if they can somehow bait TNC in, their counter fight is going to be really good.
Well, 20-minute is about to hit. Of course, both teams going to start fighting over outposts. Nice arrow from Tims. But they will still get the outpost. But look at TNC immediately trying to force in that tier 2 tower. Sometimes it's a trade you have to make. Do you want the outpost? Do you want your tower to remain? Luckily for Cignal, TNC does not have any creeps in the mid lane to really try and force that tower down. So they will be forced to just push in that top creep wave once again and just maintain the dire control, or rather the control over the dire jungle.
Almighty money.
Cignal gonna smoke up. Again, Chrono is up. They're ready to fight now. Be massive if they could find a big pick off like Armel. But he does have his BKB up now, so he may be willing to fight as long as that Chrono is not available. It is though. They continue making their way towards Armel. He does run the opposite way now, so it looks like they will completely avoid any kind of engagement.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Now TNC once again in that dire side jungle.
Shadows.
It'll be dangerous for them, but they pop the Moonlight Shadow and it looks like they want to try and force a fight. Nando. Dust is going to be there. Armel, he does get caught out and they caught March as well, but the arrow connects from Tims. Still, they do get the TA kill. That's a massive deal for the side of Cignal Ultra as they try to chase KP. So they will lose out on that, but they find something even better in the form of Gabby. And that CK just didn't seem to do anything. The Phantasm Illusions were just missing. And Cignal win a massive team fight. They got both the position 1 and 2 of TNC.
That's some really good game sense coming out from Cignal. Just having the dust on hand, popping it right then, allowed them to figure out they were being rotated on. And they just land a really good chrono. It looked a bit wonky when the arrow hit, but everyone else was still outside to follow the damage. Immediately take out Armel, who is the main damage right now. And once he was gone, it was just very easy for Cignal to clean up. So that's exactly what they need to do and what they need to keep doing. Just try to find those kinds of fights. Eventually you will turn the tide to yourselves. You've also got a lot of key items flying out now on a few cores. Mjolnir was up for Nando in that last fight, and now they have Jamesy with their Guardian Greaves. So he's going to be much harder to kill off. The entire team is just going to be that much tankier, and that's going to make it much harder for TNC to try to burst these heroes down.
It certainly is. Still, Armel definitely wants to take advantage of that 10-second BKB charge he has while the Chrono is not available. He's got about a minute to make use of that. Could be in the Roshan pit though, which is respawning in about 10 seconds, and TNC are already ready for it. And I wonder if Cignal Ultra will try to contest without that Void ultimate. Definitely doesn't seem like the wise decision, but you don't want to give that Aegis away for free. Well, they'll get started. Cignal don't really have vision around the Roche pit either, so they may not be aware this is happening. They do scan it out. It may be way too late though, and yeah, it definitely is. Roshan is already gone. The Aegis will go the way of Armel, and the Cheese will go the way of Gabby. I suppose on the bright side, they will have the Chrono up if they do try to force a tier 2 tower. But they'll smoke first, TNC. Nando does get spotted by Gabby. Moonlight Shadow now to be popped. Nando seems to understand they're around him somewhere, and he does go back in towards his base. So nothing will come out of the smoke or the Moonlight Shadow. TNC again going to have to wait for the right opportunity. This Gabby will try to force in that bot tier 2. But there could be an engagement up top. They will be fighting over that outpost at that 25-minute mark. Cignal going to try and take it now, and they do grab it, but Armel jumps straight in after Eris. He doesn't find the kill quite yet, and he did use that BKB very early on, but they do get it in the end. Now the Doom on the Timber, not allowing him to do anything throughout this team fight. Where is the Void? Not around at the moment. He's still running in. He has the Chrono. Will he use it though? Raw comes out again with the Timber, but there is the Chrono. He found 3 of them. It doesn't seem like it's going to be good enough. There's no damage output. The Mystic Flare though comes down. They'll find at least the Aegis. Earthsplitter doing a lot of damage, but still Cignal trying to go after Gabby on that CK. They just don't have the damage. They'll go after March instead on the Doom. It's a much easier target. And who's next? KP, the closest target to them. Do they have the lockdown? Jamesy will get in there with the Chakram. TNC still trying to just outrun them. They could try and turn. It doesn't look like they're interested. Melt Strike to Nando, and that's going to be it. That fight, it was a 2-for-1 trade. It was a buyback on Eris and a dieback for that matter on Eris, but it still seems to go Cignal Ultra's way.
I'm sure they don't mind too much. They managed to take out that Aegis. They managed to force out a couple of spell usages from TNC as well. Sure, you expend the Chronosphere there, but you've got a bit of a time where TNC, they don't have the Doom, they don't have the Phantasm. They are a bit vulnerable as well, so you can try to force something out, particularly once Eris is up. He's going to be a bit of your magic damage coming in these fights, and once that's settled, you could probably at least find a pick-off if you really wanted to.
Weakening Charms popping out. Cooldown's going to be lower. Looks like again Armel going into the dire side jungle, being very aggressive with his positioning. He's getting very close to a butterfly now. Of course, you see Nando with that Lincoln Sphere, trying to protect himself from that Roar, or the Doom for that matter. He'll be going for a butterfly up next as well. Ban, just gonna cop an arrow. Won't really matter though, there's no follow-up to it. Cignal Ultra should be able to get this tier 2 tower very, very easily. And by the time they're done, they'll have the Chrono back up, so they could try and force another smoke, or just defend their top tier 3 tower, which was being pushed in by KP once again. TNC, I mean, they've still got a 9k net worth lead, but I'm not sure how concerned they should be. Gabby, as a CK, it does tend to drop off throughout those later stages of the game, whereas the Void just doesn't.
It's gonna be a bit rough. Like, he is rushing that heart, and we have seen CKs go for that heart, somehow still end up having minimal impact. Right now, Gabby's damage is still pretty darn good, and he is still managing to at least burst down his squishier heroes. he isn't doing so well up against Jamesy anymore, and even Nando. If you don't stun lock him, he's basically just he has enough time between time walks to still fight. So you really got to watch out. There is a slight timer here for TNC on that CK at the very least. Armel should be able to maintain relevancy into the late game. So he's going to be the bulk of the damage as this game goes on.
We do have another pause, this time from Cignal Ultra. Bit of packet loss. Pocket
No,
loss?
pocket. He's losing his pocket.
That's not good.
Yeah. James Bulsa.
I saw
That is pocket in
ending
Tagalog.
from miles
So-
away.
Thank you,
It's
John.
making fun. Ah.
Cignal Ultra still behind. We'll have a look at that win probability, and it is still apparently 100% their way. So Cignal Ultra
It's
have
bugged
nothing.
out.
There's nothing to worry about for Cignal Ultra. They've got this game in the bag.
Yeah, Gabe has declared it so.
Yes,
TNC will have to play in the minors. that's it.
absolutely.
I
Oh, there
saw
you go,
that
to resetting your
ending
internet.
from
Or-
miles away.
Or or it's PLDT.
And now,
Pretty terrible. Like my
John,
line has been consistently cutting. I believe I have been dropping packets as well. Like I haven't been able to listen in too well, which is fine. I mean, there's a typhoon happening. I can't completely blame them. So, the lines are going to be torn up, which is okay. And in this one case, I can be understanding, Mike.
very good, John. Good to hear it.
Just for now. Not tomorrow.
Absolutely not. Hopefully, Cignal Ultra, or rather Nando, has found his pockets. Definitely important to have those pockets available during these games. Jamesy. Last one to reconnect.
I would love to be a fly in the wall here and just hear what both teams are going through.
I mean, it's a
It
lot of
must
pressure.
be tense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's tense. You've got that. You've got national pride is a bit on the line. I mean, at the very least, everyone. Wow, it must be really bad if everyone's disconnecting that much.
Oh, it's a typhoon,
But-
John. I imagine typhoons
Yeah.
are pretty bad.
Yeah, it tends to be. Tends to be. I've never experienced them because in my part of the country, in my part of the Philippines, we actually don't get typhoons passing through.
Well, aren't you
So-
privileged?
Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to not have that. We do have earthquakes though, much more often, which they're not like earthquakes that do wreck buildings. So, although the past two ones have wrecked a couple of buildings in different cities, my city's not quite in this. It's not the whatchamacallit, what do you call it? Center point? No. What do you call that term, Mike? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No idea, John.
Of course not.
No idea.
Of course not. How could I
I-
expect you to know?
I'd have to be listening to know.
That's fair enough.
Just joking. This is a bit of an unfortunate pause, John. Third game, final game, and Cignal Ultra. I mean, this is not the way you want to have your last game of the qualifiers going, especially considering this is the game that decides whether to go to the major or not.
Yeah,
See,
it's just pivotal.
Neither team really wants to lose like the momentum that they were having in that game, and the more time you spend not playing, the more time you kind of lose that groove that you're in, and that's more unfortunate for TNC, I would argue, who are currently ahead by 10k net worth.
Ah. It's gonna be really interesting to consider how well how well these teams will play. Like, you have to factor in that the Southeast Asian games are happening and in like a few days. So I'm trying to recall, like for Dota 2, I want to say it's Cignal Ultra playing, but I'm gonna have to double check. If it's Cignal, I think that's actually gonna coincide with. Oh no, it's a droid. Okay, but they've got Eris and Van as subs. Wait, if it's a droid, are they still in for? Yeah. Are they actually in, or am I not seeing this right? A droid? No. Okay. Because if any of them had like matches for the minor qualifiers, which are, I believe, in 2 days, that would be a scheduling conflict. So I'm not sure which takes precedence in that case.
I'd imagine the major would, right?
You would think, but I'm not sure how much leeway you can push against your government committees and pull out of an inter-regional game.
Right.
Like that is like on a different level. It's like outside of the DPC, yeah, the prize pool is probably not amazing as well, but this is very much an issue of actual national pride. So, unfortunately enough, that's not going to be an issue as far as I can see for most of these national teams. Like, no. It would have been an issue if. Oh, actually, no. Okay,
You know
that's
what, John?
Barrack X. No, no, no.
Maybe just confirm before you go any
No, I'm
further.
I'm looking. It would have been an issue if Fnatic had to play minor qualifiers, mainly because Jabs and Savage are playing for Thailand, which actually sounds really scary. That's pretty stacked, I have to say. Like for the SEA Games, Thailand, that's one to watch out for. And I guess Indonesia, like Barrack X, you can't really count out. Like they haven't had the best run so far, but they've got Jokam, and I think that's a guy I can always cheer for. You've got Nuts over in Singapore as well, and Paulson. Although they don't have the big names from Singapore playing this time around. And for the Philippines, it's basically a droid. Which, again, they have a bit of an edge playing these qualifiers. But still, that's going to be interesting. Like, how much the meta is going to be influenced by this. They are playing on a new patch as well. It kind of reminds me of the ESL IP, Mike, if you remember casting those. Like, a lot of these teams are from there. Like, the Myanmar group is pretty much, Reckoning, if I recall right. Kind of miscasting those games.
Yeah, they were pretty fun. We should be having them soon again anyway. It's not really too big of a deal.
It's been pretty busy. I believe India has DreamHack coming up fairly soon. Unfortunately, no Dota 2 there, but it seems like a pretty happy event. So good on them. Looks like it's going to be a pretty fun time there.
No word from Cignal Ultra. Of course, they can't really talk considering all of them are disconnected, but it doesn't look good. That is a very long disconnect.
The lines could be down. Maybe they're switching to a different carrier. Maybe they're trying to pop on a wireless modem, which is really not ideal. They're probably exploring their options here. It's going to be rough. It's surprising that TNC isn't facing that same issue from wherever their team house is. But, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing for TNC. That's a good thing.
Well, I suppose even if they did, though, TNC would probably have a lot of backups, considering it's a major organization, whereas Cignal Ultra is a little bit smaller.
They are, like, on an international scale, for sure. I think Cignal in particular, has really been making strides in trying to establish themselves as a premier esports organization in the Philippines. I think they're pretty damn close to it. Like, I believe they were the champions of the Nationals, that Philippine League, all Philippine League. So they did come out on top there in Season 1.
Right.
And that was a pretty good showing. They have been kind of sticking with the same exact lineup as well. So these guys have played together for a very long time. And hopefully enough their internet comes back. This is one of the longer pauses we've been stuck in. I'm surprised you're not talking about your life right now, Mike.
There's not much to talk about, John. It's all a disaster. I'd rather not depress myself at this time of the night.
I mean, it's funny to think about. I mean, it's not funny. It's kind of sad, but it's a strange coincidence. My country's going to be flooding up, and Australia has the bushfires.
Not good. The whole world is basically having quite a few natural disasters. It's really pretty bad.
You have learned nothing.
What else is there? Like, I'm kind of unaware. I know there was 2.
I'd rather not talk about natural disasters. It's a bit depressing.
From miles away.
Don't you think?
It is. But what can you do? The world it happens, right?
It does happen. It's just very,
very
very upsetting.
Like this kind of disconnect. I'm wondering whether or not the admin actually steps in at some point.
Well, what can they do? I mean, Cignal Ultra's clearly having technical difficulties. Like, props to the admin for giving them time, and props to TNC for
Yeah.
not complaining about it. Obviously, TNC understands the situation.
Yeah, I think you'd look pretty. It would be pretty rough to have the rule book here.
Oh, here we go. Tim's, hi. They're gonna start
I
talking
saw
to each
that
other.
ending from miles away.
Poor March.
Oh,
Sports never get appreciated, John. Never.
oh, definitely. I mean, this is a pretty good showing for March. You know, you compare that to his first support Doom game. That went pretty atrocious. This one's pretty good. He is working towards an Ags, and he's having a lovely little time in the jungle, just kind of walking around. He's got a blink. Honestly, actually, he only has a blink and a whole bunch of jungle items and his boots. So, he's having much better impact with just those items than I'd expect.
Well, now we're rolling. 32 is the number for
32.
March. Good number.
Gotta roll higher. It's okay. From 0 to 100, that's like lower than average. Lower than the middle. So
March asked them to roll back. Tim's, do you have the balls to roll, sir?
why don't you roll, Mike?
I'd rather not. It's a professional game, John. I'd better stay out of it.
I saw that ending
And
from
Armel
miles
does
away.
not roll. Tim's does not roll either. No rolls going on. Nobody having fun.
No one wants to be friends with March.
Poor March.
That's a bit mean.
We appreciate
that
you,
is a bit
March.
mean.
Don't you worry.
He's a great guy. You know, I wonder. You're gonna find this funny. I wonder if they've had dinner. it's 10:22 p.m.
Hmm.
at GMT +8, UTC +8. Have they all had dinner? Has everyone had dinner? I hope they have.
That seems to be your concern every time we get this late. Have you had dinner, John? Is that why you're asking?
Oh yes, yes. I've had a week-old pizza, probably a week and a half old pizza. Very
Yeah.
satisfying.
What kind of pizza, John?
It's hard to describe. I'm guessing it's something called a Manhattan slice from Yellow Cab, which if you're from the Philippines, you'd probably know. And you can probably flame me for my pizza choice. But all I can describe it is it tasted right on the edge of not being good, but it was still edible. So I'm very okay.
Uh-oh. Well, March is asking a serious question. It has
Oh,
been
here we
quite
go.
a wait now.
Yeah, I mean, the rule book has to come out at some point.
It's not
You
really a
can't just
rule.
indefinitely. No,
Wait,
no, it's definitely rule booking. Like there is a set amount of time you can pause for every team.
No, naturally, but I think March isn't really throwing the book at them. I think he's just kind of saying, hey, what do we do here? You know,
I
we're
mean,
not
it's
gonna
either you wait or you ask for the rules to be enforced.
The admin may be not there.
Can play Mirkwood. Why Mirkwood? uh,
Oh, Mel.
Armel. Oh, this is just like those Steam chats you get from random bots. That is a pretty good question, no? Okay,
Okay,
there we go.
1 more minute.
And
But really, is this Cignal Ultra? They're not going to just lose if they don't reconnect.
I
mean,
don't think they immediately lose, but maybe they just unpause and it's basically free farm for until
so
Cignal
they
comes
lose.
back. It's not a straight out loss. Like it's not a straight out forfeit. They just run out of pause time.
So you're telling me that Dota Plus is going to be wrong because they disconnected. Cignal Ultra
Yeah.
clearly had a 100% win chance, John.
Yeah.
I'm going to be very upset if TNC win just
I saw
because
that
this
ending
disconnection
from
happens.
miles away.
Yeah. You know what? That is actually a very. Yeah, there you go. So that's an interesting thing to raise up. I wonder if there's any tournament organization that has like a clause for what you would describe legally as acts of God. So say a typhoon would be considered that. You know, like natural
No,
disasters or natural occurrences.
I don't think that really
Yeah, I
counts.
mean, of course you wouldn't have a clause for that.
Yeah.
Because that's way too much legalese for a game set of rules, but you do run into situations like this as well.
Well,
So
the admin's,
Cignal will...
the admin's
yeah,
doing his
like-
best. I mean, the admin can only do what the admin can do. He's doing his absolute
Yeah.
best. He has stated that Cignal Ultra has restarted their network.
Get your pitchforks out for March in case. Gabby's throwing him under
Oh,
the bus.
If this is how TNC win, the chat is about to lose it.
Yeah, no, this is...
I mean,
Oh,
clearly
that's
they're
just not-
winning. Let's not take that away from TNC, right? They're 10k ahead.
Yeah, right, right. They're winning, but you can argue that Cignal has so much going for them. They've been taking a few of these fights. They've been finding Armel. They've been bouncing it out with TNC. Their combination is just starting to come online. You're just starting to see their Void get that farm up. You're seeing the Wombo combo really taking shape, and this happens. So, right, like you look at the stats, yeah, 12 to 8, 29 minutes in, 10k lead for TNC. They are looking pretty good. But as this game progresses, it's not a dead set win. You take a look at that map, even in terms of map control. And don't check Dota Plus because that is completely wrong.
What?
But it's I can't doubt the AI. The AI will kill me if I doubt it. Okay. So you've got all of these situations happening, and you've just got this unbearable pause that just can't go on, right? Like, no matter what the cause is, you just can't do this. So it's going to be rough, and there are definitely going to be a lot of people mad in chat, very mad at more than likely TNC. But there's only so much you can do here. Like, you can't expect the guys to...
Hold on a minute. There's no reason for chat to be mad at TNC. I mean, you can't wait all night. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
sure...
You can't wait all night.
No, they're not going to be mad. I mean, apart from, the memes and stuff, I'm pretty sure everyone's pretty reasonable.
Are you? No. Well, it's... No, you can't say that. No, I'm pretty sure chat will just be memeing about TNC winning by unpause.
Yeah, but that's memeing.
It goes beyond memeing. Like, they meme it, but they're also half serious, Mike. Like, it just happens, right? So you're gonna have that conversation as well about the last game in a best of 3 just ending this way. If it does end this way, it's not gonna be the best luck. But that is how the hive mind kind of works. It's just the way the loudest shout. The people that shout loudest are just the ones that kind of get heard. And you do see a lot of arguments in chat about TNC's performance, right? Like, it has been up and down throughout these close qualifiers. And this series is arguably one that they should not be drawing 1-1 to. Very arguably, they should not be 1-1 to Cignal Ultra. Right? They should be on a different level. On stats, on paper, with the players they have. And Cignal, they're putting up a great fight. But they're going to go for it.
Alright, March is going to go for it. It's quite reasonable. They've waited an extra 7 minutes.
All right. Yeah.
And yep, Cignal Ultra, nothing they can do, but
Oh.
Armel's here to save the day. He's had enough of March's tyranny. Armel says no. March, you will take a seat, and we will keep waiting.
All right.
Oh, Armel, the good
So-
guy. All right, Armel's trying to get Reddit karma. All right, fair enough, Armel.
So they're basically just giving away their own pause time. I mean, they're not giving their pause time, but they're giving the equivalent of their own pause time away. So they're giving them an extra chance here. So there you go. Reddit, bring it out for Armel.
I love these TNC boys. Bloody hilarious these guys are. Speaking of John,
March, right under the bus.
March, we were fans of you, sir, but well, Armel's the real hero in all this. Everyone, please upvote any Armel posts. Give him as much Reddit gold as possible. He deserves it. And, well, March is, of course, a businessman. He wants the major over friendships. Armel, though, he's a loving guy. Wants to keep his friends close. John, we were talking about pizza before. While we were waiting,
Yeah.
do you agree with the age-old argument that pizza, or rather pineapple, does not or does belong on pizza?
That's a tough one. I don't personally go out looking. I don't go out looking for Hawaiian pizza.
Don't be
But I'm
offensive,
not-
John. Is it yes or no?
I'm not offended by pineapple and pizza. I don't
you-
go looking for it, but I'm not offended by it.
Do you like it or not?
It's fine. I don't like it. I don't dislike it. I'm just neutral with it. Like
Oh, John,
Sweden
come
is
on
with
now.
World War II and World War One. You know, with Switzerland. Sorry. You know, I'm just neutral. I don't take any hard stance. I don't mind it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I honestly find the people that absolutely hate it to be wasting so much effort. If you actually hate something, you should give no effort in noticing it at all. You don't even have a conversation about it. That's true hatred. What you're doing is bringing attention to something you actually hate, which
John, I
brings
think-
people who love it in, and you're having a conversation about something you'd rather forget. You know, it's like, if you truly hate pineapple and pizza, you will ignore pineapple and pizza.
Jeez, you're very philosophical tonight, John. Very
You
deep.
don't have a conversation. Yeah, it's just the way I am. But
I
yeah, pineapple and pizza.
It's fantastic, by the way, for the any viewers watching.
Oh.
Pineapple on pizza
Oh.
it's John, it deserves the spot on pizza. I mean, people
Look,
keep
for
arguing to me
some-
it doesn't.
For some reason, I expected you to be the kind of guy who would hate pineapple and pizza.
I
I'm
love
not sure
pineapple
why.
on pizza. I love it. I think it's
Alright.
fantastic.
You know, there was this amazing sandwich from McDonald's Singapore, and I've talked to you about it before. It's their buttered chicken sandwich, and that thing is amazing. Absolutely, like the bun is nice. It's a bit too greasy, but it's really good when you're just wanting something fast. The chicken is really well done. The cheese and the chopped cabbage inside is great. I have to say that's one place I don't want my pineapple in, though. Like, it really kind of ruins the taste of that sandwich. So there are moments where I like pineapple, but on the Singaporean McDonald's butter chicken sandwich, definitely a no-go. I ordered that without the pineapple. It is excellent that way. And yeah, it's just a bit of a segue, but pineapple.
Pineapple's good.
Oh no, like I love pineapple as a fruit. Like it's really damn good.
Whew, we've gone pretty low in the conversations here while this pause
Nah,
is going on.
we could go lower. We could go
we're
lower,
We're not going to go any lower, John. We've gone as low as we can get. The TNC
Wait,
boys,
wait.
I'm pretty sure we should have an unpause soon.
Fairly soon.
Armel using the TNC pause time. Admin not forcing anything, giving TNC the choice to continue waiting, which is very nice, very polite of Armel to force the pause and give Cignal Ultra a chance. I do appreciate that from Armel, I've got to say.
I do wonder what's up though. Like, did their line just really get cut? Okay, there we go.
Mark just
will we
taking
see pause back?
responsibility.
No. Okay. That's the end of that. Cignal got cut.
I saw that ending from miles away.
Oh, March.
Well, they're not going for the kills on the heroes.
Yes, they
Oh
are.
well, they are now.
Van
Yeah, no, they
is-
kind of ignored Jamesy, but they're going on Van. All right.
Well, the
Oh.
game's... Oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, they're back.
They're
I saw
back.
that ending
He
from
pauses
miles
straight away. Uh-oh.
Oops.
Guess
Well,
who's back?
to be fair, they haven't really lost too much time there.
KP just took a tier 3 tower in that span
Yeah,
of...
but- Oh, okay. Well, that was short-lived. That was very short-lived.
Oh, no. So what do you do now? You just wait
You
again,
just
maybe
unpause
give it...
again?
No, I think you give him like 5 minutes, right? It's clear that... Oh, March.
No, like
No,
on the rulebook, if you're
I
going
saw
strictly
that
by the rulebook,
ending
this is
from
just an
miles
unpause.
away.
Yeah.
You know, he's definitely in the right to unpause. I'm not saying that.
Dire's top barracks are under attack.
Anyway, it's fine. They've waited long enough. This game is over. Tim's cleans up errors. I'm not sure if it's worth casting this, John. There's not really much going on. They are going to go straight to the tier 4s. They don't want to make this a spectacle.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
TNC, that's TNC to the majors. So Last major champs do manage to secure that last spot. Rather anticlimactically, I have to tell you, the result might have been different. We'll never know due to circumstance. Cignal, they gave up a good fight. This is really not the way you'd want that to go. And my god, that actually isn't a very good look. I believe Cignal is provided internet by a certain company as well, so it's a bit of a shame. But they are going to be there for the minor qualifiers, I believe. They still got a shot into DPC. Not quite the big event they'd want to go, but it's still a chance. They have a lot more games to go as these go on, Mike.
Certainly so. Congratulations to TNC. That's obviously not the way they wanted to qualify for the major. All we can do is say sorry to Cignal Ultra. I mean, I feel really bad for them. Obviously, TNC waited a very long time. They basically went past what they had to by a mile. And so, very unfortunate loss for Cignal Ultra. TNC was in the lead anyway. Likelihood is they may have probably won the match. And so, I guess the real thing we come out of this is there's no way to prove that Dota Plus was wrong, John. Right? In the end, Dota Plus was actually not wrong. It's more so that Cignal Ultra just couldn't stay connected because of perhaps a natural disaster that happened. And, well, in the end, they're still right. So there's that. John, that's it for us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure casting with you, and thank you to the viewers for sticking around for so long. I'm sorry it had to end that way. Unfortunately, it was out of everyone's control. John, you got any final words before we head off?
Hopefully everyone has enjoyed watching. That was a pretty good set of games today. Unfortunate to end on that kind of note. I know there's going to be a lot of discussion about this series ending this way. You can say what you want. TNC was completely in the right. As Mike said, they gave more than enough time. Just unfortunate that the games had to happen in the middle of a big typhoon. So Cignal will still get a chance in the minor qualifiers. They're not quite out of it yet, and it feels like they've got a pretty solid chance. When you can bring a fight to TNC like that, looks like they might be able to even slide through the minors at the very least. So they still have a shot at DPC. And, if you enjoyed the casting, if you enjoyed listening to me and Mike somehow, do follow us on Twitter at JohnXFire and at MLPDota. We might be back for the minors. I can't confirm that. It is like 2 days out. We'll probably know as it comes closer. But that is it for now. I believe we are going to be jumping to Europe on this channel as well.
Certainly, we definitely will be. For now, though, thank you all for tuning in. The stream should switch over sooner rather than later. And we'll catch you guys next time. Have a good night and enjoy Europe.